Turner and Hooch episode 9 is here, guys, and I kind of skipped my video for episode 8 because I was just not feeling well. But here we go. Is this another big win in the streak of many winners? Because whatever I'm gonna say about this one, I so love this show overall. Hi fellow Disney Plus watchers, this is Thoughts After a Disney Plus Watch, where we review everything new Disney Plus coming out, and I'm glad you're watching the channel that's all about Disney Plus movies and TV shows. I loved this episode, and it must be one of my favorites, if not my favorite. It had heart, big laughs, tension. I have never seen Scott and Erica this vulnerable together. I've never seen them opening up so much within this show, and I was really engaged. But just a fair warning here before we continue, I do want to discuss spoilers and get into specifics, so you can press that watch later button if you haven't seen it yet. Still here? Let's do it. This week, the big case of the episode is all about a witness protection. Big criminal on the run, really stealthy. This guy's all about masterly avoiding all the security cameras. And guess what? This dangerous man, the only one who witnessed the inciting incident of this episode, the big murder, is this 8-year-old autistic and overly sensitive boy. So Scott and Hooch are assigned to protect this boy, and maybe more importantly, make sure to find out what the suspect looked like and who it is. But that is not so easy. With every touch, this kid freaks out, and he's really only comfortable within his own bubble. And at first, Hooch is not even welcome into the house. So Scott ties him up to a little tree and goes in and tries to get information out of the kid, but makes the mistake of touching him, and the boy screams. Boom! Hooch is triggered, hurries into the house, dragging the ripped out tree with him, and scenes like this, what happens after, you know, is where I fall in love with the show. One of my favorite things about this show is the humanity of it, and the boy connecting with Hooch is so heartfelt, so relatable. I could instantly connect to that. Not that I have problems with autism myself or anything, but the idea that animals are easier to connect with because of their more primal and pure emotions. Yeah, wow. Beautiful scene to begin this story with. And what a sweet storyline it was. Erica stepping in and challenging Scott to really put away his embarrassment and play with the kid and Hooch, you know, them impersonating dogs and everything. What this show does so well is that it doesn't focus all that heavily on classic detective work all that much. And instead shows us scenarios where the unorthodox and often more human solutions work best to crack and solve cases. Because behind every crime scene or investigation are humans. There's always a human behind it. So storylines like these work so well because, while also building the SCERICA relationship, you know, the love between Scott and Erica, I mean, it serves the story so well because of what it means for the show, if you know what I mean. So it's character work and good plot work. If for whatever reason you weren't shipping SCERICA yet and you were still holding on to Scott and Brooke being cute together, I think you feel differently now. The scene between them where Erica is opening up about the way she communicated with her brother and dealing with his autism when they were kids, really revealing something she's embarrassed and ashamed about, and Scott admitting, you know, I like weird. And it shows that nothing is wasted in the show Turner and Hooch. Nothing is coincidental or just a little filler to have some fun or whatever. No, little things in the show matter. When we saw Erica's brother pretty early on in the show for only a little bit, I was like, okay, fine, not a great character, we don't have to see him again, right? Well, it was not for nothing. Erica having an autistic brother is a big part of the DNA of this episode, and I love the attention to detail there. We also see the conflict of the previous episode where Scott realized he took all the help and moral support from Erica completely for granted, and that everything was always about Scott, my problem. We got a bit of a full circle here, and I love that it wasn't mentioned directly, but the scene where Scott actually checks on how Erica is doing, not Hooch, not the kid, Erica, we see her a bit startled and actually opens up to him. We've seen her throughout this whole show trying to hide her feelings, trying to be someone else, but here we really see what it's like when Erica is putting her guard down. What I also really dig about episode 9, and it's something this show does a whole lot, especially in the earlier episodes of the show, is have synergy between the storylines of Scott and Laura. And what I mean here is, you know, one of Scott's whole mission objectives is to connect with this child to uncover a case without the kid finding out or realizing he's under investigation, that he's a mission objective. Sounds familiar? Laura tries to do the exact same thing. Her whole deal within this story is going back to a few places her father went and uncovers some missing links there. And in order to do that, she tries to seduce her son with fun stuff. Going fishing, grabbing some ice cream. She too is trying to hide the investigation from her kid while using him. It's similar dynamics, although Laura's kid is a little bit brighter and more aware of what's going on in the end. But still, love the show for taking the little extra effort to make the two storylines align in themes or character motives or stuff like that. I also thought it was interesting that things got a little more personal for the chief, and that in the end he gets more in on the action. That's a nice change of pace, because most of the time he just does a mission briefing, talks to Scott in his office, and the plot begins and he's just not really there for the ride. But he was a more active character here, and that's cool. And again, there was also some history between the chief and this assassin character, which was interesting. The chief refers to the time he was still a deputy marshal and sworn that his that this Volkov family or a group of criminals, whatever, that they would never find him again. And here we are. So this mission did have a personal stake for the chief, but I think they could have done more with that. It lays the groundwork for having another layer to this mission, but this scene is the only thing we really get. We're talking about this every week, aren't we? But this show deserves it. The humor in Turner and Hooch is again on point. One of the highlights is Trent and Xavier. Those are perfect together. If Scott and Xavier is already an unusual pair to look at, man, these two though. I laughed hysterically when Trent uttered the words, "I don't like it when you talk to me." I think it's comedic gold. I don't care what anybody says. I love the humor within the show. The ending where Scott denies Brooke's call and joins the family, it was a beautiful feel-good ending, which it was so good. The episode really felt like a journey in understanding a socially difficult young boy, cracking the code of how he works, all the while showing how pure of being a dog can be. It's once again, I think it's the best example of why Turner and Hooch work so well. It's a detective show where the solutions to a case are human and vulnerable and align with the psyche of what it's like having a dog and understanding animals, and it's the package, man. It's the package, and the package here was great. God, I love this show. I'm thinking about wrapping this up. Thank you so much for watching. I'm curious, what did you think of this 9th episode? Be sure to let me know in the comment section. Don't forget, if you enjoy the idea of discussing Disney Plus content with us, that red button looks familiar, right? And if you're interested in thoughts on previous episodes, it's all in the description, or you can browse the channel page. I'll come back to you with Marvel's What If today, if that is something you like. But did you like this video? Then be sure to consider giving that a click. Thanks. For now, have a wonderful day and see ya!